Thank you, Emilia. Thank you very much. And thank you, Elkin, Octavi, dear Mayor. I believe that the issue we are dealing with today, local democracy, is the keystone of most, if not all, of the major challenges that have been addressed in these live learning experiences. Our ability to make cities by, for, and with all our inhabitants, from social and institutional proximity, is what ultimately makes the difference between local governments and other levels of government. At the Habitat 3 conference almost 4 years ago, the right to the city was first recognized in a United Nations document. UCLG has long used this term, linked to the co-production of the city, to the guaranteeing of rights and local autonomy. I believe that these are the three goals we must aspire to in the urban process, which is by nature unfinished, but which at the same time defines our cities at every moment. So please let me start with the last point. The protection and defense of local autonomy at all costs is a basic condition for local democracy. This means protecting the mandates of local elected officials, regardless of national or state dynamics. And here, as an organization, we have work to do. But it also means not relaxing in the defense of effective decentralization with competencies, but also, and above all, with sufficient resources. Because without decentralization worthy of the name, there are no local public services. In this pandemic, if this pandemic has taught us anything, it is the fundamental importance of strong public services and a robust welfare state close to the citizens. Without public services and decentralization, in short, rights cannot be guaranteed. And guarantee rights, as you know, is at the heart of the democratic social pact. I participate, I am politically involved, I pay taxes, and in return, I expect to be provided with the conditions to have a decent life. In the face of anti-democratic temptations, in the face of populism, I am convinced that guaranteeing rights and combating inequalities remains the best recipe. Here, I am talking about reducing inequalities that we have known for a long time and that persist, such as territorial, socioeconomic, or gender inequality. But we must also be able to guarantee new rights linked to the realities such as digitalization, Octavi has talked about this, or climate change that increasingly determine life in the city and which in fact generate new vulnerabilities that are added to existing inequalities and that affect even more groups such as women, low-income families, LGBTQ people, inhabitants of urban peripheries, etc. These are also the groups most likely to be affected by lack of access to internet or access to heating during winter, for instance. I would like to end by emphasizing that the issue of local democracy is not disconnected either from the reconstruction of multilateralism. In the year in which we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of United Nations, I believe that we must champion local democracy to define us as governments that want to be recognized as such by states in international decision-making. Defending local democracy was the seed of the municipal movement, but it is also our best tool for claiming our legitimacy to have a seat at the global table as a transmission chain for our communities. We run the risk that this principle that gives meaning to our international involvement will be lost in the face of technocratic and supposedly apolitical visions of the city. We must make sure that the place local democracy has in our movement is not forgotten. And that is why I think it is important that we do not stop talking to each other about this issue in a dialogue that, like the city, is by definition unfinished and can always be improved. This remains, I think, the fundamental value of the global municipalism represented by UCLG. Thank you very much, Emilia.